In my last video, I counter-signaled Trump pretty hard, and I think that was warranted given the kinds of statements he was making at the time. But he seems to have wised up. That was before his third statement on Charlottesville, where he called out the media and he went to war with the media for their very biased and their very unfair and their very dishonest coverage, coddling the violent Antifa communist thugs who want to destroy Western civilization, and everything good. And he really articulated the concerns of ordinary Americans, I think. Ordinary Americans who are not ideological, who just want to live their lives and go about their business and enjoy their property and their family and their culture and everything else. And he's playing very good populist here, articulating the concerns of normal Americans. I saw an NPR poll that showed over 60% of Americans want the Confederate statues to remain as a historical, reminder or monument. Over 60% of Americans want the statues to remain, and that's what the Charlottesville protest was about, ultimately. That's what the event was about. And only 27% of Americans want the statues to be removed for being offensive. So, Trump is playing a really good populist here by articulating the concerns and the interests and the views of ordinary Americans. And he's not getting a lot of support from the establishment. No establishment Republicans are willing to defend him for articulating these very mainstream views and very mainstream concerns held by the overwhelming majority of ordinary Americans. And they're totally buying into the communist, leftist, hostile, radical left agenda by, giving a very one-sided account of things in this very dishonest, very biased coverage, which is slanted towards the ideological hard left and towards defending these violent communist Antifa thugs who want to destroy everything about Western civilization that ordinary Americans value. They want to destroy their culture, want to destroy their institutions, want to destroy their norms, everything that they value, and everything that's good about the West. These violent communist Antifa thugs want to destroy, and their ideological allies in the academy, the people who create their narratives, who create their ideology, and their allies in the media who cover for them, and who subtly push this ideology and these narratives, and not so subtly sometimes, and demonize anyone who stands up to them. So, Trump's being a very good populist here. I hope he knows the numbers, and he probably does, but, in order to take that kind of stand with literally no support, at least from within the establishment, that also takes some personal conviction probably as well, and some moral courage. And so I really appreciate him for showing that, and I really appreciate him trying to set the record straight and blasting the media for their very dishonest, very biased, very malicious coverage. And I appreciate him for sticking up for normal Americans and the concerns and the interests and the values of normal Americans, which are totally being ignored here by the establishment media, academy, by the government on both sides of the aisle, Republican and Democrat. And so big props to Trump for that. And, you should give him a shout out too, because he's probably feeling pretty lonely right now. And so let him know that over 60% of normal Americans, ordinary Americans with normal, ordinary American interests and values and priorities, support him. And he's really articulating their interests and their values and their priorities on this one. And, screw the establishment, screw the political establishment, screw the media establishment, screw the academic establishment, screw the big business establishment and all these malicious companies, these big malicious companies like Google and Twitter, PayPal, Facebook, all of these companies that are determined to censor and to stamp out anything remotely right-wing in order to push a malicious, unpopular, left-wing agenda, dishonest left-wing agenda that is not supported by and which actually opposes the interests and the values and the concerns of the vast majority of ordinary Americans who just want to live their lives, who just want to enjoy their freedom and their property. And, go about their business without being harassed by violent leftist thugs or by their enablers or by their, ideological instigators in the academy and in the media and everywhere else in the government. So big props to Trump. Give him some props too. Let him know he's doing the Lord's work, so to speak.